Alright Blues, and welcome to part one of our season preview. I'm here with Martin, the return of Martin, and with Walter, the two men with the best hair in Manchester. And we're going to be kicking things off, looking back at the pre-season and looking back at the signings we made over the summer. We'll kick things off with one word to sum up our summer business, Martin.
Strong.
Walter?
Good so far.
That's three.
I know.
And I'm going to have indifferent. We've signed Delph, we've signed Sterling so far, unless we signed someone overnight. And we've signed loads of youth players. Sterling being the marquee signing, how happy are you with that?
I think with Sterling, what we've done is we've taken, for me, the best player that was available on the market. And now he's a Blue, I really see him kicking on this season. I really do. I think he's got the potential to be special, especially with players like Silva, Torre, Aguero around him. I think he's going to kick him on. I think that was the definitive reason for him choosing us over other potential suitors. So I think it makes us certainly stronger in that department. Navas, for me, was a potential player that came in with, you know, things being said about him when he did a couple of seasons back. Sterling is eminently better than Navas, and I think he kicks us on into a force. And I think potentially champions again.
What do you reckon about Sterling?
Sterling, for me, he looks good in that blue kit, I have to say. I think of Sterling and I think about how much you spent for him. It was 44 million. A bit of that went to QPR, and they've basically brought Benteke in to replace him. So that's a good step down for them, for one of our competitors. And Sterling, for me, he's come to City and he's going to have the platform to go on what I feel is going to be world class. He's already, you can see, he's linked up well with Silva, and you can also see the stats bear it out, the goals, the assists that he's already provided to the team. I think he's going to be absolutely quality. It's
like people say he struggled last year, but he wasn't playing with Suarez anymore. He played with Suarez and he looked amazing. Now he's got Sergio. So.
Well, Sergio and Suarez are the nearest thing in world football to Suarez is Sergio.
Yes.
I mean, besides minus the biting, of course. But if you're talking about just as two players and the style that they use, them two are very similar. And Sterling is built to come to our team. I think he's going to be brilliant.
What about Delph? £8 million. I thought it was a bit of a bargain, really.
I thought it was a definite bargain for £8 million. We've obviously lost Milner. Our thoughts on that were we wanted him to stay, but ultimately we've got a younger player, similar sort of style. I think, you know, I've spoke to a lot of Villa fans and they say that Fabian Delph is a real quality player. Will he play week in, week out is what the media seem obsessed with. I don't know who plays week in, week out in modern day football. You play 2 games a week. So the point is he'll get plenty of game time. I think he'll kick his career on. But ultimately, we've got a young English talent again within, similar in a way to Sterling coming into the club. We've got to make sure we cover all bases at City, and we have done. I think Delph was a great signing, and I certainly understand his U-turn scenario because that was played out in the media. For me, it was a case that, you know, Benteke was given assurance Benteke was going to stay, then suddenly Benteke's not going to stay, and he thinks, well, I'll go and play with the best footballers in the world. It's a no-brainer. So, you know, all the media make a circus out of it. Us City fans say, get in there and do a job. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, we got slagged off, not got enough English players. We go and sign two, and then, what about Delph anyway? Well, so have you got an apology? Or?
I got an apology.
I thought you had an apology to make to Delph. He's watching.
Looking good, Delph. No apology. The thing is with Delph is I always wanted Delph, and he's what I would like to call, he's not a stellar signing, he's not going to set the world alight. He's almost like your Milner or your Barry type players, and every single team that's ever successful has a Milner and a Barry type player. It's they're not going to grab the headlines, but they do the bread and butter stuff and they do it well, and for £8 million.
For English as well.
Well, that's the problem with, especially with this new Premiership deal kicking in, teams are going to have to spend a lot of money for English players. And if you look at who Villa just bought for their £8 million that they got, is he an upgrade? No. Is our team upgraded? Definitely yes. We had to buy English because Lampard, Milner, Scott Sinclair, they all were shown the door for one reason or another. And to buy Delphin for £8 million was just what was Absolute bargain.
I think one thing with Delph and Sterling as well is they've got something to prove. You need players with bits between the teeth. You need players with off that backdrop, and this is going to, you know, this is times where reputations are forged for me, and I think that Delph and Sterling can make that step up. The potential's there. They've already got, you know, it behind them for us to be excited by them. But this season and next season, I really think that they'll come into their own.
You said good so far with our transfer business. Tom MCFC on Twitter has asked you, which areas of the team do you think still need strengthening to take us to the next level?
The bench. No. If I look at the areas, I mean, everyone seems obsessed with left back because we've got Clichy and we've got Kolarov there. And I think with Clichy and Kolarov is, if you could just meld them into one player.
Kolarov's left foot on Clichy.
Well, it'd be absolutely world sensational. But obviously that's just the way. I think City fans have always seen, or City as a team have always seen this, the full-backs as quite hard positions to fulfil now, whether that's gone back to Richard Edgill or, you know, in more recent times, Wayne Bridge. But these areas, the idea of a full-back and their role within a football team has completely changed over the last few years in terms of they're not just defending, they're overlapping, they're getting forward with the crosses. So I think about the left back and I just think who's out there, who's going to come to us, potentially, well hopefully be English as well. People talk about Danny Rose and I don't think he's good enough for us. Unless he signs, of course. Yeah. But then he's great. But this whole idea of us trying to get left backs in, that's the one position I think we may need to have a look at.
I'm still a bit unnerved about the centre-half partnerships, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm excited about Jason Denayer. I think he's going to be really one, definitely for the future and maybe for the present.
I mean, we'll come on to the squad in more detail later, but I was looking at the squad today and potentially against West Brom, we're only going to have Fernando fit in the midfield. So are we light on numbers as a squad, or is it just injuries?
It seems crazy to almost say that we'd be light on numbers, doesn't it? Almost in midfield, where as soon as when they were talking about Delph, they were saying, "Oh, he'll never get a game," etc. Scenario. I think it's indicative of modern day football. We need strength in numbers. As I say, for me, if you're asking about, I agree with Walter. I think left back for sure. I think Kolarov gets it right sometimes, but not all the time. Clichy gets it right sometimes, but not all the time. They both bring different attributes. But I definitely think we ultimately need a fit Vincent Kompany, please, back to when we win the league. That would be, you know, then we wouldn't need to strengthen that.
One last thing for part one. Pre-season, I mean, a lot's been said. We had a decent pre-season, beat Roma, lost to Real Madrid, lost weirdly to Stuttgart, which was a bit of an anomaly. How do you think the pre-season went? Does it mean anything, or is it just a fitness exercise?
It's not even a fitness exercise. Modern day football, it's what we call a marketing exercise. You know, we've gone over to Melbourne, I presume we're going to go over to America next year. It's all about cracking these markets, and ultimately with financial fair play, you're trying to get coffers in. And I don't pay any attention. I mean, we had the two young lads who, if you put their ages both together, were still younger than me, unfortunately. And but they were going up against, you know, your Bale, Ronaldo, Modric, and just trying to judge us on that is absolutely ridiculous. But I thought, just going back to Delph was outstanding
for 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, for the first bit, he was there, and you could see he was the glue in front of. He was playing the almost Carrick role.
Yeah.
He was there, just in front of the centre halves, protecting two young lads. And as soon as he got injured and went off, less said about that. Less said about that, the better.
I agree. To be honest with you, I think it is an exercise in PR for the club. You know, if you're going to be a global brand, which is modern day football, you understand it. Can't judge against Real Madrid. Thought they did well against Roma. I thought one thing that you need your new players to hit the ground running, and certainly with Raheem Sterling, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
The Stuttgart thing, I guess, put everybody back, but what Blues we can't get sucked into is this media chaos, because at the minute it's boom bust. If we play young English players against Real Madrid, then it's, you know, you should have played your full team. If we play our full team, you should be bleeding new talent. I mean, we shouldn't get sucked into the media. We should almost black out with the media and concentrate on what we're doing.
I just thought they had City and Real Madrid are two different objectives. City were there, they were trying to blood these young players in, you know, blow away the summer cobwebs, and Real Madrid was turning out the creme de la creme. and trying to steamroll City, and they achieved their objective. And to be honest with you, we achieved ours. You know, we got these young players coming in and seeing what it's like to play against top-class opposition.
And like I said, Jason Denayer played, and if you come back for part 2, we're going to be looking at the squad in more detail, look at our defence, our midfield and our attack going into the 2015-16 season, so make sure you check that one out.
This is Ricky the Hitman Hatton. Subscribe to Blue Moon Rising TV for a knockout time.